Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. As ever, you can find me over on Instagram at the House of Langford and at Overall Sews. I'm also on Ravelry at MadXstitcher, and this is my little monthly roundup of everything I have made in November. So this is my multi-craftable channel, and I do a monthly roundup every month. And I also do some vlogs over here as well. I am a textiles teacher. I currently live in Thurrock with my son, whilst my husband lives in Glasgow. More on that a little bit later. And yeah, that's what I get up to. So my main craft at the moment is crochet. I have made jewellery in the past, and I can knit. I just choose not to. I just prefer crochet. So if you're here for knitting, that's not really a lot of that here. I do have one piece. I have actually done some knitting over November, and yeah, mostly crochet though at the moment. That's my happy place. So yeah. There is a Facebook group and a Facebook page linked to this podcast. There is also a Ko-fi account if you wanted to sponsor in any way. It mainly goes towards things like giveaway prizes and little things like that. So I like to break up my podcasts in two sections. Firstly, I talk about what my goals were for that month. Then I move into my finishes, then whips, then acquisitions, and I set myself new goals for the following month. So shall we have a look at what my goals were for November? Okay, I had 4 goals for November. The first one was to finish off the Quagga that I started from the Toft Conservationist subscription. I needed to make 4 Dalmatian puppies. I wanted to finish off the hexagon cardigan that I started. Can't actually remember when I started that, because that's going to be for a colleague of mine. And I wanted to put some more rows into my On the Seashore blanket, which is a Rosina plain pattern. And I have done 2 of those 4. So, shall we head straight on into finishes? Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 finishes, and I can only show you 1 and a bit of them. So the first thing that I did was a baby blanket. Now, my local yarn shop were collecting baby blankets for a local hospital in London and for the postnatal, so the maternity ward and the NICU units. NICU? I can't remember how. I'm going with NICU. Yeah, so we were provided with a couple of different patterns to choose from. There was 1 crochet pattern and I think 2 knitting patterns, so that they're all similar sizes and they just use basic stitches. So I chose to do a crochet one because of course, and we all chose different colours and we all made completely different blankets basically. So I used the King Cole Cherished and Cherish yarns just because they're really soft but they give a nice dense fabric, and I used pink, pavlova and white to make a striped blanket because I had the pavlova already at home and I had some leftover white from the polar bears that I made a few months ago. So I made a nice striped blanket. I didn't follow the pattern for the border just because I didn't really like it. So I did a very simple double crochet, chain, double crochet all the way around, and then did the reverse going back around again, so to make a little moss stitch type border. I did a few rounds of that before finishing it off with, I think I finished it off with the white. I will put some pictures up, so hopefully they've already been up, of what it looked like. We had a really lovely stack of blankets that went to the ward, and I think we ended up with a total of well over 70. That's quite a lot of blankets. It took 2 boxes and 2 bags, and the owner of the yarn shop took them all to the hospital on the Monday to present them to the hospital, and we've got a couple of pictures on the Facebook page for the yarn shop. I'll put all the details down below for you of everything I talk about. So yeah, if you wanted to find out some more, you can head over there to have a little bit more info. The pattern we used is actually a free pattern from Sands. So both the crochet patterns and the knitting patterns were from Sands. Now, if you're making them for Sands, for the charity, then they ask that they are all in white. Obviously, ours weren't going to that charity, so we used all different colours. But I'll put the link down below for that pattern as well for you. The next thing I finished was 4 Dalmatian puppies. So someone from Karate asked me to make them. I used Stylecraft Special Aran in black and white. They are about this big, and I made 4. Now they were easy to make in terms of the crochet aspect, but you had so many pieces to stitch together. I didn't enjoy sewing them together. The pattern is by HookerHaus on Etsy, so it's a paid for pattern, and I think I already had the white Aran at home, so I had to just buy a black Aran for the ears and his spots. And it's meant to have a tongue, but I wasn't sure about adding it, so I didn't bother. I just left it as black and white, and I think they're pretty cute anyway. Yeah, so yeah, that's another make that I can't show you, but I'm gonna have pictures. Yeah, I think they're really cute, but they are quite fiddly, so yeah. Next up on my finishes is actually some Christmas decorations. I had some gingerbread and some cream yarn left over from the Lucky Puppy blanket, and I was like, what can I make with these? So because I had some Christmas markets coming up, I made some little gingerbread. I think they're really cute. So it's the same pattern I use for my Christmas puddings and my baubles. I have just added some eyes, a mouth, and some little rosy cheeks. Now I actually made 3 of these, and this is the only one I have left from my markets. So yeah, I'm actually recording this sort of like about a week into December, because it's the first weekend I've actually been home during daylight. Yes, I've been very, very busy, but yeah, I made 3 of these. I've just used Stylecraft Special DK in gingerbread and cream. I already had the safety eyes, and the cheeks are some leftover King Cole Cherish in the pink, which was from my baby blanket, and I just put a hanging loop on the top, and I just think he's so cute. Anything with a face on these days is considered cute. So yeah, I was tempted to make him into a Christmas pudding with a berry and a leaf, but I quite like him as a little gingerbread man. So yeah, I'm gonna add this, I think, to my listing on Ravelry for the Christmas baubles. So I'll add this as a variation, and it's really cute. Like I said, I made 3. I've thoroughly enjoyed making them, and it was so lovely to see people's faces at my stall when they saw them. But yeah, so if you want to make your own, or you want to make some of the other decorations that I have, there is a pattern over on Ravelry. I will pop the link down below for you. But yeah, you get several different patterns, so you can mix them up as you like. I finally have one more thing to show you, one more finish, and that is my Quagga, because he's just adorable. If you've watched my Toft Conservationist video already, you will have seen him, but I wanted to show him here as well because I did make him in November, and I just absolutely love him. I did realise afterwards though that the colour I used for his eyes, because I used the tails from the very last loop of hair from his mane, I should have done it in black yarn, because there was a strand of black in the pack, but I don't think it really matters. So it is a subscription box that you pay for quarterly, and you get a different animal each time with all the yarn to make it. You don't get any stuffing, and you don't get a hook, because I think the idea is that you would already have a hook and you might have stuffing as well. So I mean, just look at his little tail. I absolutely love him. I think he uses a similar pattern to the zebra, which is in one of the Toft books for the menagerie, but he was just such a dream to make. I started him when I was in Glasgow and finished him shortly after. I think I was putting off putting him together because I didn't want it to end, and I wanted to do, but I needed to put him together before I did the mane, so yeah. And I learned how to say his name properly. He's a Quagga, not a Quagga. So yeah, I'll put the details for this as well down below, but I will link to the video I did for this, which also has details, and I'll put that up here as a card. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with him, and I still haven't yet started the next one, but I'm looking forward to many more. And that's it for finishes. So we're going to head straight into whips, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 whips, and they're all at varying stages of completion as well, which is no surprise to you really. So the first thing I'm going to show you is living in this bag. Now I have dug out all of the yarn that I need for this project now, and it's all in one bag, and I have finished half of it. So this is my Hexie cardigan in Teal. So I have done 26 rounds of granny to get one arm done, and that fits my colleague, so that half is done. Now I just need to finish the second half to the same of size, and it is attached, but I'm going to show you anyway. I'm currently this much of the way through. So actually, like, let's have a quick count, because there's 26 on the other one. So I have 14 rounds on this one. So I'm over halfway in terms of rounds, but obviously they get bigger as you go out further. So yeah, I need to continue with that. I'm just using Stylecraft Special DK in Teal. I bought this, I don't know when. I want to say the end of 2020. Yeah, that sounds about right. By the end of 2020. Possibly even just before the summer of 2021. And I'm just using a Knit Pro 4mm to work that up. I don't have a pattern for it. I made my first one up as I went, and I'm using effectively the same method for this one. It's exactly the same as my other one, because I know that one fits her. But where I've had it so long, it's stretched. So I'm making this one a little bit bigger. And I've just left half of it out of the bag. The next whip I have put a few rounds into is the Shepherdess Socks that I'm working up for Ellen, of Callock Sheck Ellen. And I don't remember the last time I showed you these or where I was, so I know I've put a few rounds in, but I think I keep putting these off, even though they're not for me, they're for somebody else. I keep putting them off because they'll actually never fit me, and it's all slip stitches, and it just takes time, and I'm not very good at, yeah. Anyway, so I have the toe, and I'm working my way up the foot part, and then what I would do is place it against my other one. I did write a list, I think it's 64 rounds that I did. I did mark it on the pattern. I'm just keeping the ball of yarn itself in there. So these are the Shepherdess Socks from the Morit mag, and they are being worked up in a 4.5mm hook, which is a free bag plus one I got from a magazine. The pattern itself, so it's Morit issue 1, and it is by Clarissa Beth Lopez Rodriguez. And I have written a note here that says 64 rows for the foot, and then I've written 32 rows for the leg, but I pulled back most of the leg on the first one, so there's not actually many rows. I think it's like 5 or 6, to try and get it out of the 50 grams that I had for it. So yeah, I mean, it's not fancy. It's in a bag so that I can keep it clean, and it means that it's visible because the bag is clear, and I'm like, well, I need to work on that. So that was the idea behind moving it into there. Next up, I have some knitting. I know. For those of you that are new here, I do not knit very often. In fact, I don't remember the last time I shared any knitting on the podcast. But those of you that have been here before, you may remember that. It's probably this same thing. Now, I haven't touched these since, I want to say, like, very early January. Very early. They are Christmas socks. So I bought the gingerbread colourway of West Yorkshire Spinners back at Christmas last year, and I went to, let me show you the yarn first. So this was last year's Christmas colourway, and I don't remember seeing it in sparkly, but yeah, so I have that, and I'm just using a very standard vanilla sock pattern, which was the one I was given at the yarn dispensary. I went and did their, or I tried to do their sock, I think it was Sock Society or something, where you turned up once a week or once a fortnight to work on a pair of socks and you would get help. So it's currently sitting in, this is actually a DPN holder, but I found that it actually works the same for when you're doing magic loop. It holds my needles. This is from Paul Martin Creations, and it's all hand woven in yarn. I think it is actually West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. I think it's another one of their Christmassy colourways. I can't remember. I'll have to double check. Yes, so if you remember, I had my 15 rounds of ribbon. I think it's actually 16 rounds, but there we go. And I think I had started maybe the first stripe. But now you can see I have some more stripes. Basically, I got very bored the other day and I was like, well, I don't want to work on anything new, but I don't have anything I want to work on right now. So I just picked these up and started just knitting round and round and round. And yes, my stitches are not even. The tension is not great. And down both sides where I'm magic looping, it is very loose. But I don't care. Because I'm really hoping that that will change when I block them. Or at least wash them. But I'm not that bothered. It's my first pair of knitted socks. And I just like the fact that I go around and I'm like, oh, I finished a stripe. Oh, I finished another stripe. And I did most of that in one evening, maybe 2 evenings. So I need to go until it measures a certain length, I believe, and then I need to do a heel. I think it's a heel, flap and gusset. Thankfully, I have knitting friends that I can ask questions of, because I have no idea what I'm doing here. I'm just along for the ride. But yes, I wanted to show you that I have done some knitting, even if it is very infrequent. Yes, it could be Silent Night actually, the yarn used for this holder. But yeah, my needles sit in there quite nicely. I just loop the actual wire, the cable back round, so it sits in the other side, and it will keep it all nice and tidy. And that is living in my little grey girl bag, and I have put my little grey girl tag on here which says knitting, just in case I forget what's in there. Next up, we have a sample that I'm working on for my local yarn shop. I know it's very late because it's a Christmas themed item, and I think we only have 2 more days that the shop's open. Yeah, Wednesday is open during the day and Saturday is open during the day. That's it. We've got no more workshops. We have closed all our workshops, and then Helen is going away, so we won't reopen our workshops until towards the end of January. But I am making the Christmas stocking. We got some new yarn in, and actually the yarn has been flying off the shelf even without the sample, but I think what helps is that I've been working on it, or at least had it with me at the shop on weekends, so people have seen it in action. And it is a sparkly yarn. So it's Stylecraft. It's called Winter Magic XL. Yes, Winter Magic XL, and the stocking takes 3 balls and uses a 9mm hook, which I've had to borrow from Helen. So I need to get it finished and give that back to her before she goes away. But I have done like the leg. I've done the leg bit, and it's got this bobble pattern. I mean, it works up really quickly because it is super chunky, but I mean, I did the foot bit, the heel flap, and then I went all the way around and was like, well, I've got the right amount of stitches, and I've had to finagle the pattern a bit because it didn't work, if that makes sense. So when you get back to join the leg bit, you do 2 normal trebles, 2 bobbles, 2 trebles, until you get to the other side where the heel starts, and it says you should have 2 more trebles to put in. Well, I didn't have any because I followed the pattern. So yes, I've had to fiddle it, but it's fine. It will work. And can we see the sparkle? Yeah, look at the sparkle. I love the sparkle. That's just really cool. So the aim is to try and finish this before the shop shuts for Christmas. Even if it's used as a sample next year, it's absolutely fine. I think the fact that it's been seen in the shop being worked on has really helped. And again, it's in, or it was fitting in a little grey girl Christmas bag that I got last year, but it no longer fits because this is a very small bag compared to this. And I've got the 3rd ball in here as well, but I haven't finished the 2nd ball yet. So it kind of half sits in, half sits out of the bag. Kind of like, I'll show you that. But yeah, so there is a lot of Christmas going on in November, and that will continue well into December as well. Finally, I have 2 more projects left. One of them is a long-term project because it's a blanket, and one is a project you may have seen last year. So I don't know if you remember, but last Christmas I made a Gingerbread Man, but I used a 4mm hook instead of the recommended 2.5mm hook because I thought, it's okay, I'm using DK yarn. This was before I realised you need a 2.5 for amigurumi. So anyway, needless to say, I started it again, and once I finished that one I did it again in the 2.5. However, I got his 2 feet done and his 2 arms done, and that was it. I stopped. So I actually picked it back up on the 30th of November because I found this at my local yarn shop that someone had donated and left on the table because it's Christmassy. And there's the pattern. Now, I can't find my copy of the original magazine and he's in. So I was like, well, I need to finish him then because I now have the pattern. So there he is, nice and big. It is on Ravelry, but I'm reluctant to buy the pattern because I have it somewhere. Yeah, so anyway. Now the issue is I have worked on this since November. So yeah, what I did is I put a stitch marker in where I was at the end of November, so you can see that bit. I'm using Stylecraft Special DK in Gingerbread because it's a Gingerbread Man. And basically, by the end of the 30th of November, I had both legs attached, had gone around his body, and then started joining the arms. I think I had one arm on and was about to join the second arm, because the next day I realised I'd done it wrong. Anyway, so technically he was there. Can you see the stitch marker? He's down here. Yeah, let me pull that out of the way. Here. This is the row I was on, the row that joins the arms, basically. But, sneak peek, I've almost finished the head. So, you can guess what one of my goals is for December, can't you? He needs a head, and he needs some buttons, and he needs a bow tie. Because I cannot leave him another year without being finished. Because he's a gingerbread man. So yeah, be prepared to see this again at the end of December. But this is where I got to. I am working it up in a 2.5 foot now. And I'm just using a Knit Pro one that I got from the shop. And I have got some very cheap sparkly white yarn from Poundland that I've been using to do his icing. So the lines for his icing. And the last one, I seem to have a lot more whips than finishes that I can show you. Anyway, the gingerbread is living in a Chiffon's Crafts Care Bear bag, just because I think he's lived in that for quite a while now. And then the last project is in my Janie Crow bag, which I picked up from the yarn cake. Can't remember if that was the first time I visited or the second time I visited. But either way, it's from the yarn cake. So the last project I have to show you is another Rosina plain blanket. This time I'm working it up in, I think I have Paradise Beaches by King Cole in White Lady. I also have Island Beaches in Pebble and Island Beaches in Blue Lagoon, or just Lagoon. So those are the three colours I'm working up. And it is called On the Seashore. It is mosaic crochet, because we know I love mosaic crochet. And I have finished the first section. Now this is a bit longer, but you'll notice it's a bit wider than my Ho Ho Ho. Most of Rosina's blankets seem to be a standard size, which is the Ho 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 size, which is a single sort of lap blanket. I have repeated this half again. One repeat again, so that it's a bit wider this time. I don't think it will cover two people, but it's a nice blanket to drape over. Now the reason I have extended it is because I want to add in the seahorses. And if I add in the seahorses but don't change the width, it becomes very narrow and long. I'm not very tall, so that's no use to me. Yeah, so I wanted to make it wider so it's a bit more proportion. I have started part 2 with the second set of shells, but I'm really liking how it looks and it feels so nice as well. Yes, so all the ends here. Yeah, I'm not the only one that's working on this either. So a friend of ours at the yarn shop has got, I think she's at the point where she can add the seahorses now. So we were kind of like, she got well past part 1 before I even started. And then I made a faux pas and put in a picture of the Lapland blanket by Anna Nikki Provic into our WhatsApp chat, and she immediately went and bought it and started it. So this kind of went on the back burner for her, which gave me time to catch up. So yeah, I have been furiously working on this. Now I took it with me to Glasgow and I finished off this section. I think by the time I'd got home from Glasgow, I think I was like there. So I only had a couple of rows left of section 1. And I haven't really touched it because I've had so many other things to do. And then I think I was think most of my work has gone into the hexagon blanket, the hexagon cardigan, so I can get that finished for my colleague, because I'd like to give that to her before Christmas, ideally, and I don't have much time left. I also wanted to work on my Quagga, so yeah, that's where the time went in November, really. And that is it for whips. So lastly is just acquisitions, and surprisingly, not many of them. Now, I waited and waited. Haven't had much money, to be fair. So I haven't bought very much in November. And I desperately wanted the Nutcracker from Toft. But he was £60 and I was going to get him at the Knitting and Stitching Show, but I didn't have enough with me to do that. So I waited for the Black Friday sale. And at the same time realised that there was a book that I didn't have. And actually when I bought the yarn to make the Oryx back in October, thinking that was in the Menagerie book I had, I was very much wrong. I was led to believe it was in my book, but I didn't make the differentiation at the stand that I only had the first Es Menagerie book and not the new Menagerie book. So I ordered the second one as well. And he's here. Because I was getting very confused that I couldn't find him in my book. So I asked them to send me the pattern and then realised he's in this book instead. So, yep, I now have both Ed's Menagerie books, and I'm very much looking forward to having a go at some of these designs as well, because they're just so cute. I mean, look at the horse. Look at the horse. So yeah, very pleased with that. Again, in the Black Friday sale, so it was a little bit reduced. Bonus. And then I have a big box, which that book did come in, but it was buried in the bottom. And I thought I would show you what I got. Because this is all I have bought for November is Toft stuff. It's in a bag, because I've tidied it all up and put it all in one bag. There's also some safety eyes in here. And I have a tape measure, which I got for free. Safety eyes. And I got a patch as well. So this is a little sneak as to what I bought. I bought a polar bear as a kit, which is why I've got safety eyes, I think. I don't know. And there's a couple of patterns in here as well. There's a knitted cable beanie. Now I can do cables, so actually I could make that. And I've got plenty of yarn. It says Aran. I've got plenty of Aran. There's a note here for the new Flora Society that's coming back. And this is so cute. It's a free pattern to make little Christmas crackers that you pull apart. Yeah. If I find time, I might make them. But yes, that was all in this big box. Ta-da! So, yes, I bought the yarn to make the polar bear. Pieter. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Pieter. I also bought a yarn bundle with some of the colours that I didn't have. So I have, what is this? Teal, lime, pink, and an orange. And then I bought some of the gold yarn that they bring out only at Christmas time because it's sparkly. All about the sparkle right now. And then I also have the yarn here to make Pieter the polar bear and the Nutcracker. I bought the Nutcracker in red, so in the ruby colourway, because I just love it. And I got the gold sparkle as well as the accent, so it's not just normal yellow. So that is all in this bag, ready to be worked on. I might start him Christmas Eve, the Nutcracker, or the polar bear, to be fair. Just because I've got the Toft Advent to do. I managed to get one. Very happy about that. And amongst other things to do, I've set myself some ridiculous goals for December. So let's move on to those now, shall we? Right, I've just written myself a list of my plans for December. And like I said, I think I'm a bit optimistic. Anyway, I've mentioned some of them already, but just as a recap. So I have Vlogmas coming up in December, and that gives me something to do every single day of December. I also have the Toft Advent to work on. All we know is that it's a mini doll, but that's about it. No idea what it's going to look like. I also have a gingerbread house that I want to make, which I've spotted from Knitcraft, which is Hobbycraft. Can't remember who it's by, but I'll pop the link down below. And basically every day they're doing a gingerbread town cow, and this includes a gingerbread house. It includes a train, gingerbread men, Christmas tree, and lots of sweets. My aim is just to do the gingerbread house because I really want to make a gingerbread house. I did buy a pattern off of Etsy, but it's very detailed, and that's for a time when I can just hyper focus on it. I also want to try and get the Hexie cardigan finished because she deserves to have that before Christmas, because she's paid for it. And I want to try and finish off the Christmas stocking as well before the shop closes for Christmas, just so that I know it's done. So if you want to follow along with any of that, I will be try and post stuff on Instagram, but life gets in the way, as always. I am vlogging, so it'll be on here as well under Vlogmas 2023. And if I post any updates over on Instagram, I'll be using the tags of Vlogmas and Ed's Crochet Along. So if you want to see what we're making, you can head over to Ed's Crochet Along, which is the account on on Instagram, run by Toft, for any make-alongs that they do as well. So yeah, that's it. There's only a couple weeks left of school before we break up for the Christmas period. Ralph is coming back on the 20th of December, and I cannot wait to spend Christmas with him again, because we've had very little time together this year, but things are changing. So potentially, well, no potential about it really, I will be moving to Glasgow at some point. And my plan is before Christmas 2024. So within the next year, it's going to be a bit crazy. It's going to be a bit hectic because I need to just gut this flat and organise everything. I have been digging through wardrobes and through cupboards to find stuff that I could either take to work or sell or just get rid of. So it is a bit of a mess, as you'll probably see through Vlogmas, but I have to do it now. There is no way around it. I have to gut this flat. I have to work out what I want to keep and what I need to get rid of. And that means it'll be less for me to sort of take up to Glasgow at some point. So I think once I've got a few bits together that I definitely want to keep, then I'll take them up with me to Glasgow, and I'll do it gradually. That way, the less that's in here, the more space I have to actually go through stuff. Because, yeah, I'm one of those people that gets everything out, tries to organise it, and then tries to put it all back, and it never fits. So, yeah. And then that way, if I fill up the space in the new place, then I can't take any more. And I think it's scary because I've been here a long time. But I want to be with my husband and start actually living a married life, because we've been living separate lives for far too long now. We've been married for 4.5 years. yeah, is a big leap, but he's already done that leap, so now it's my turn. And I've given myself a year to actually do it, so there is no reason why I can't. But yeah, so that is the update for you guys as to what's going on. That's why you've been seeing vlogs in Glasgow recently, and yeah, things are moving forward a lot quicker than we thought they would, but it's exciting, it's scary, and hopefully you'll come along for the ride as well, and maybe you'll see a podcast in my new place, my new setup. And I'm really hoping to make it a little creative space, because at the minute it's just chaos. There's nothing else to it. It is chaos. There is stuff everywhere, and I need to really focus on what I want to be working on in the future. So yeah, like I said before, anything I've mentioned in the podcast, I'll put all the details down below for you. So if you want to go and have a look yourself, or make something that I've made here, or just check it out, it'll all be there for you. And I look forward to seeing you all at the end of December. And in the meantime, happy Vlogmas!